I shall cause
thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the final episode of RoundUp in Ramadan.
Wow, Ramadan has flown by so fast, don't you think?
That's right, but first we've got a lot of Ramadan content for you in today's episode.
But before we get on to that, let's see what we have in today's episode.
Coming up, we look at the rise of Islamophobia and how to tackle it. Then it's the final instalment of our Ramadan Roundtable. And finally, Ramadan around the world in the Gambia and Germany.
Nasser, I can't wait for the Ramadan Roundtable.
You know what? Me too. But before we get onto that, let's head over to Ushman to see what's in the headlines this week.
Assalamu alaikum, Jazakallah. We start in Gaza as Israel is facing backlash this week after the killing of World Central Kitchen aid workers travelling in so-called safe zones in Gaza. 3 airstrikes were carried out by Israeli drones on the vehicles carrying 7 staff members. The staff members include several foreigners, including an American, Canadian and others. Israeli officials said the attack was a mistake, but the head of the World Central Kitchen said they were in constant communication with the government about the staff movements. Meanwhile, Israel's parliament passed a law on Monday allowing the temporary shutdown of foreign media in Israel, mainly Al Jazeera. The law allows the closure for up to 45 days. Taiwanese officials are assessing the damage after a 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck on Wednesday. The earthquake killed 9 people and injured more than 1,000. Even though the quake was the strongest in 25 years, it was centered in a less populated county of Taiwan, so damage was minimal. The last major earthquake in the region was a 6.4 quake in 2018. We are just hours away from a view in a lifetime of for some parts of the world. A total solar eclipse will occur tomorrow on the 8th of April. People across North America will be able to see this sight throughout the day. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon moves between the Earth and the Sun, blocking some or all of the Sun's rays from reaching Earth. It's a cosmic event that requires the Sun, Moon and Earth to be in the just right alignment. While solar eclipses occur 2 to 4 times a year, seeing one is rare because Earth is really big and mostly covered in oceans. The last total solar eclipse across the US was in 1918, and the one next won't be until 2079. The eclipse will begin over the Pacific Ocean, crossing Mexico's Pacific coast before midday. Its path then takes it through Canada, where it will be seen across eastern Canada. Jazakallah Nasir and Ghanibai, that's all from me this week.
Jazakallah Ushman for this week's headlines.
Now let's go over to Rahel to find out some of the points taken from this week's Friday sermon.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to this week's Friday sermon discussion. Today, we're going to dive into a topic from our beloved Hazur Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz's recent sermon that's incredibly important for all of us, regardless of our age: prayer. Specifically, we'll be exploring the power of prayer in times of distress and how it can truly impact our lives. Let's start by reflecting on some profound words from our beloved Hazur Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz. Hazur spoke about how prayer isn't just about asking for things we want. It's about expressing our deepest need for Allah's guidance and help, especially when we feel like we have nowhere else to turn. Hazur highlighted a verse from the Holy Quran that emphasizes Allah's response to the distressed when they call upon Him. It's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, Allah is there, ready to answer our prayers. Now let's break down some key takeaway points from our beloved Hazur's sermon. The importance of distress in prayer. Distress isn't just about feeling anxious. It's about recognizing our absolute need for Allah. When we pray with this understanding, our prayers become more sincere and effective. Prayers for the community. Hazur emphasized the importance of praying not only for ourselves, but also for our community, especially in challenging times like those faced by Ahmadis in certain parts of the world. Signs of God's existence. The fact that Allah listens to the prayers of the distressed is a sign of His existence and mercy. Our prayers have the power to bring about positive change, both individually and collectively. Now let's talk about some specific prayers mentioned by Hazur, as well as those taught by the Holy Prophet ﷺ and the Promised Messiah ﷺ. From the Quran, we have a powerful prayer like Surah Al-Fatiha and others that seek goodness in this world and the hereafter, as well as protection from harm and guidance against disbelief. Additionally, the prayers taught by the Holy Prophet ﷺ and the Promised Messiah ﷺ offer us guidance on the seeking forgiveness, mercy, and guidance from Allah in various aspects of our lives. But it's not just about reciting these prayers mechanically, it's about truly understanding their meanings, adopting them, and praying with sincerity and humility. Beloved Hazur also urged us to pray for those imprisoned due to their faith, wherever they may be in the world. Additionally, Hazur cautioned against the threat of war. He described how it seems as though a world war has already begun, with leaders feeling immune to its effect while the masses suffer. The reality of this war has already manifested in conflicts like those in Syria, where recent attacks on the Iranian embassy went unnoticed by many. It's a reminder that injustice anywhere can lead to chaos everywhere. As Ahmadis, we must focus on offering prayers to safeguard ourselves and humanity from the destructive consequences of these conflicts. That's it for this week's episode. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair for that summary of the latest Friday sermon.
And as always, don't forget to watch the entirety of the Friday sermon on any of MTA's various platforms.
Now, we're going to be moving on to our next segment, which is something you may have seen on the rise recently. Well, maybe not as recent, but you may have experienced it yourself.
Well, it's Islamophobia. And it's not new, but do you guys know what it means and how to deal with it if you encounter it? Well, Kashif is here to explain that.
Now you might be wondering, what is Islamophobia? Well, it's a big word, but it's all about fear or hatred towards people who practice Islam, which is a beautiful and peaceful religion. People all around the world follow Islam, and just like me, they have families, friends, and they go to school. But sometimes they face unfair treatment just because of their beliefs. That's not okay, and we're here to learn more about it and spread kindness. Today, I'm here at Britain's biggest mosque, and I'll be speaking to Manabi Sahib about what Islamophobia is and how we can tackle this issue. So Manabi Sahib, what does Islamophobia mean?
So the term Islamophobia means the fear or intense dislike of Islam or Muslims.
Have you noticed a rise in Islamophobia in recent years?
Islamophobia has increased recently, especially after the October 7th attacks, where people like Tel Mama have reported that Islamophobia has increased by over 1,000%. And this is according to the report, but also I've spoken to individuals who have been on the forefront of this Islamophobia, and some individuals are so scared to leave their house that they don't leave their house anymore.
Manabi Sahib, have you experienced any incidents?
So as a Muslim on social media, I make content to help people understand Islam better and educate them about misconceptions that they might have of my faith. I've received a lot of hateful comments, abuse, and it's not a nice place to be in on social media when you receive such comments. But that's the reality of social media. And I've been a subject of Islamophobia, not only on social media, but also growing up as a Muslim in my high school when we were attacked by other people in the playground because we were Muslim.
So, how can we tackle this issue?
I believe that you can't fight fire with fire. People that send abuse and hate, I genuinely feel that they're not open to conversation and dialogue. I feel that the way you tackle this Islamophobia, the fear of Islam, the hate towards Muslims, is by conversation and dialogue, by bringing people together, bringing communities together, to have open conversation, to ask questions and learn about the faith, so we're able to remove any hatred or intolerance that people have in their heart of Islam and Muslims.
What should children like me do when faced with such issues?
Those individuals that might be subjected to Islamophobia and are given abuse, the best thing to do is to report it to your parents, report to the teachers and people in charge, not to fight back or not to retaliate in the same manner, because you can't fight fire with fire, and violence is never a solution.
Manabi Saib uses social media to help people to better understand Islam, but the abuse he received has increased dramatically recently.
Let me tell you the truth, yeah? If I go on the tube and I see a lady wearing a headscarf, I'll try and sit in the same carriage. Not too close, but the same carriage. Just so I can see her. Because I know, yeah, that they're more likely to get attacked or abused because they're wearing a headscarf.
So some of the comments I've had in here, I can't scroll through, there are over 1,000 comments. How some of them said that if Muslims didn't bomb them, then they'd be safe. People have said to go back to your own country. How about you get out of the UK?
It was great speaking to Manabi Saib and hearing about his real-life challenges. Together, we can try and change people's views about Islam, whether that's by speaking to our neighbours, being kind to our friends and family by showing kindness, and even talking about our religion at school. Let's choose love over fear every single time.
Jazakallah for that very interesting report.
It was a very interesting report. I definitely learned something new today.
Now, I'm pretty sure we've all been enjoying the Ramadan roundtables, but this month is coming to a close, and you know what that means.
Well, that means that there are no more Ramadan roundtables, well, apart from the one in today's episode. But our team is here for the last time, bringing us thoughtful pieces of wisdom to wind down our Ramadan.
All right, welcome everyone to the very final session of the Ramadan Roundtable, and hopefully we're going to be looking at all of the progress that you've been making over the past few days in this blessed month of Ramadan. We're coming very close to the end, and I'm sure people are now looking towards Eid, but it's not over yet. And actually, this is a time where people focus even more on their prayers. Why? Usman, there's something in the Quran, something about the last few days that's really specific, and everyone's supposed to pray that extra little bit harder. What do you think it could be?
Is it Laylatul Qadr?
That's right, Laylatul Qadr. Arsal, what is that?
That is the night of destiny, I believe.
Night of destiny, night of power, night of decree. Wahid, do you know anything about what are the kinds of things Muslims should be doing in Laylatul Qadr? It's time.
We should just be praying.
Even more than normal?
Yeah, even more than normal. Pray as much as we can. Make sure we get all our prayers done, because we don't know when the night
Exactly. You don't know when. There was actually a narration of the Prophet ﷺ where it was narrated that Allah did reveal what was the time of Laylatul Qadr, but then for certain reasons that knowledge was taken away. So we only have a rough estimate of when it is. Yes, it's in the last 10 days, and more closely, it's in which nights of Ramadan of the last 10 days? Anybody know?
Odd nights.
Odd days. So you can search for it in these days, and that means doing what exactly? We spoke about Taraweeh. What was the other one that we spoke about? Tahajjud prayer. Qiyamul Layl. Staying up at night, praying extra hard. This is that time to do it. And even youngsters can take part in this. Arsal, keep coming back to you. We're almost at the end of Ramadan. You pledged that you would try your best, although you don't have to be perfect, but you try your best to keep all of the fasts. How's it been going?
So, alhamdulillah, I've done most of them. I think I've only missed like 2 or 3 here and there.
It's really good that you're making the effort. Now you're at an age where, inshallah, maybe next year or the year after that, you might be like, okay, this is the year where I am now considered an adult, and that's when you start, like we said, you've been training for the past few years. Fasting, reading the Quran, offering the prayers, getting your body to be resilient so that you can now carry it on properly. Inshallah, you'll be able to do that next year as well. Inshallah, we're coming now, like I said, to the end of Ramadan. A lot of people are thinking about, hey, it's the end of Ramadan. Some people might be like, oh, yes, I can maybe stop fasting now.
Yeah.
But some people might be thinking, well, I've got all these good habits that I've built up. I'm praying on time. I'm fasting. I'm waking up in the morning. How can people actually carry that on after the month of Ramadan? And I'll give you a clue. Because even after Ramadan, some people fast.
In Shawwal, you do some fasts.
That's right. There's fasting in the month of Shawwal, but we just fasted in Ramadan. Anybody know about that? Why would we do that?
Is it?
Yeah, go on, Usman. Go on, Usman.
Is it extra 6 fasts that you do after Ramadan?
Yeah.
And if you do those extra 6 fasts, it's as if you fasted for the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, some narrations say the entire year, some say in perpetuality. So perhaps for a really long time. But there's a little bit more to it behind that. It's not just about that. You see, what's so great about Ramadan? You're doing things as a community and together, and that kind of gives you a further incentive, a further boost to do it. When Ramadan's over, a lot of people tend to stop doing some of those things. And then the real test starts. You're not going to be waking up with everybody. You might be waking up alone. You might be reading the Quran, and it might just be you. And those 6 days are there to prove to yourself that those 30 days were not a waste. You really did build habits, and you can even do it when other people are not doing it. So you're incentivized because you can do it yourself. So that's what Shawwal is about. And we picked up on this in the really beginning episode, in the very first one. It was about the Quran and your journeys with the Quran. And most of you said you're trying to read all of it. Wahid, you said you were reading it with translation as well.
Yeah. So
I want to know about that, because what did you learn from that point of view? Anything that you remember, any lessons that you might have learned?
Yeah, definitely. There's, as you mentioned, a lot of hardships. All the prophets went through hardships, and Allah gives you, it's the perfect book, as the Quran is.
I think there's a lot of you guys, you spoke about exams, but that's not the only thing that comes in life, your way.
Yeah.
You get ill and get unwell, right? Things, when you grow older, there'll be other problems, and you might have stress, you might get anxiety over things. And when you read the Quran, the prophet stories remind you that if you're patient and you persevere, you can get through them. And that's hopefully something that you've learned from it as well. Ursul, we're coming now towards the end of Ramadan. People are talking about Eid.
Yep.
And they're talking about, hey, we're going to cook this, and we're going to dress up like this. Is that ultimately everything that Ramadan was supposed to end on? What you dress like, what you eat with?
I think obviously that's a big part of it. Like, you've just had 30 days of fasting and like discipline. So like you have 3 days of celebration of like, you've done this much sacrifice in the sake of, for your faith. But I think it's more important about coming together, like with your community, but also thinking about what you've learned and like how you can continue those things beyond Eid.
Okay, that's good that you said that. Hazur, you've been listening to the sermons, right? His Holiness has been speaking about Eid as well. How can we attain true happiness? Because Eid actually means returning happiness. Does anybody remember how we can actually attain it?
Maybe by like making other people happy on Eid, by helping them to celebrate as well.
So one thing that we can definitely try and learn from Ramadan is that true happiness comes from giving to others and also sacrificing in the way of Allah. For youngsters, it's not just about fasting. So much more and so many habits that you can pick up, as you've just mentioned. And even if you pick up these things and you make them consistent, albeit if it's small throughout the year, throughout the week, throughout the day, you've accomplished what you set out to do. So may Allah bless you in your endeavors. Hope that you guys are able to carry this on throughout the year, not just throughout the month of Ramadan. May Allah enable all of you to do that. Hopefully, see you next year.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
That was a great discussion, Nasir.
Definitely. But now we're going around the world for the final time this Ramadan.
That's right, we've got our teams in the Gambia and Germany ready to give us a glimpse of their Ramadan.
Ramadan in the Gambia is a special time for Muslims as they fast from dawn until dusk, engaging in prayer, reflection, and acts of charity. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, observed by Muslims worldwide. One unique aspect of Ramadan in the Gambia is the strong sense of community and togetherness that is fostered during this holy month. Muslims in the Gambia often come together for communal prayers at mosque and read the Holy Quran. During the Ramadan, children are not obliged to fast. After I close from school, I read books and help my mother with cooking the iftar, the evening meal that breaks the day's fast. Families and communities will gather to share meals, exchange greetings, and strengthen their bonds with one another. Additionally, many Gambians take part in acts of charity during Ramadan, such as providing iftar for the less fortunate or donating to those in need. This spirit of generosity and compassion is a significant part of Ramadan experience in the Gambia. During the Ramadan, many Muslims in the Gambia intensified praying Tahajjud and Taraweeh. These prayers are believed to be especially beneficial and offer a chance for spiritual reflection and connection with Allah. This special month is ended with a colorful celebratory feast called Eid al-Fitr. where we all wear new clothes, go to the mosque for Eid prayers in the morning, and visit family and friends later in the day.
Ich bereite mich auf Ramadan vor, indem ich mit meiner Mutter und mit meinen Geschwistern eine Ramadan-Zitka-Box bastle. Und meine Mutter erzählt uns Geschichten, indem die Fragen, was ist Ramadan und wofür fasten wir und so weiter, beantwortet werden.
Ich versuche, viele Bücher von unserem Muslim zu lesen und ja, halt viel zu lesen und auch viel Koran zu lesen.
Dass ich versuche, mehr Qadr zu lesen.
Ich faste gar nicht, weil Kinder sollten gar nicht fasten, aber ich stehe dann einfach morgens auf. Ja.
Kinder müssen eigentlich nicht fasten.
Dass ich auch auf Travian gehen kann und dass ich bei der Ramazan Challenge mitmachen kann.
Dass ich Seri aufwache und Fajr-Gebet verrichte. Dass wir abends zusammen den Tisch decken für Iftari.
Ramadan ist besonders für mich bei den Tarawian, weil ich da meine Freunde wiedersehe.
Außerdem noch, dass ich abends auch noch zu Tarawi-Gebet gehe und dort meine Freundinnen wieder treffe.
Jazakallah to all our teams for the absolutely incredible reports.
That's right, and while we are sad to see the Ramadan Roundtable come to an end, we may just have a surprise for you next week, so don't forget to tune in. It's our Eid special.
We hope you've had a blessed Ramadan. Please keep me and Ghani and the entire RoundUp team in your prayers, especially during the last few days of Ramadan.
And as always, make sure to follow us on our social media channels, Instagram and Twitter, where we've got loads of behind-the-scenes content for you, as well as all the information you need about upcoming episodes.
But until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.